available by Election Day on November 3rd, as the president has pushed for. The timeline pushes things back after the company's CEO had reportedly wanted this by November or even October. Now, we can say that most of this is up in the air right now, and it's still in its late stage trial. Well, the drug remdesivir has little or no effect on mortality for hospitalized COVID-19 patients. That's according to WHO. They say a study shows the antiviral doesn't seem to help patients recover faster. Now, remdesivir was the only drug with an emergency use authorization for COVID-19 in the U.S. The company says out of all of the things they have been testing drugs publicly, none of those have helped patients live any longer or recover faster. Well, the world has now passed 39 million cases of COVID-19, and in the U.S., the pace of new infections signals a tough winter. Camilla Bernal has more.
The U.S. at about 8 million COVID-19 cases.
This virus is really tricky and really hard to control.
Every day, the country averaging more than 50,000 new infections, a sign of a difficult winter ahead.
So people are becoming newly infected now. It's a few weeks, 4 to 6 weeks before we start to see the real impact in terms of hospitalizations.
On Thursday, the U.S. topping 60,000 new cases in a single day for the first time since August 14th. Experts continue to ask people to wear masks, social distance, and avoid crowded places.
It's hard. It is not easy. But I think we need to continue doing it because it also is very hard to see people sick and, more importantly, see people dying.
At least 32 states are showing an upward trend in new cases, among them Wisconsin, where the 7-day test positivity rate is now at 23%.
We are seeing more hospitalizations here. The numbers are trending in the wrong direction.
15 states are showing steady trends, and only 3 states are showing a downward trend.
We have an unacceptably high number of people have died in this country. And the prediction is that by the end of this year, we will be close to 500,000 Americans having died from this virus.
I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
The 5 o'clock news starts now.
Operation Rolling Thunder in the books for another year. A major crackdown on I-85 and I-26 in Spartanburg County. We'll tell you how much cash and drugs were taken in during the week-long operation. And record-breaking voting happening across the country as millions of Americans lining up to cast their votes early. A good Friday afternoon. I'm Cody Alcorn. Tory has the afternoon off. Governor McMaster here in South Carolina announcing 2 new CARES Act grant programs, the Minority and Small Business Relief Grant Program and the Nonprofit Relief Grant Program. So these programs will be accepting applications starting next week on October 19th. The governor says both of these will provide financial reimbursement to South Carolina's small businesses and nonprofits who have really taken a huge hit due to COVID-19 and the shutdown across the state. The governor released a statement on the new programs. You can read that at foxcarolina.com, but we actually caught up with the governor today, who gave this statement.
There are a lot of small businesses, minority businesses, as well as some nonprofits who have not been able to access any help. So this program is aimed at them.
And again, this is to help those small businesses and programs who've taken a huge hit from COVID-19. You can find a list of the grant eligibility requirements inside our free Fox Carolina News app. Well, we do want to check in with Chief Meteorologist Kendra Kent right now. And I'll tell you, Kendra, it was a very nice afternoon. Some people saw some clouds, but the sun did peek out for a while. And let's go over to Kendra's sketch forecast.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, you know what? It has been a very nice afternoon, and it never really got all that chilly this afternoon in the upstate, but later tonight, we're looking at the potential for a frost and freeze across the mountains, and in the upstate, it's going to get close, but not to the point where we're expecting widespread frost. So all of us expecting a very chilly night. But currently, it feels pretty good out there in the upstate. It's 70 degrees in Greenville, but it's 60 up in Asheville, 52 in Waynesville. Temperatures will fall later on this evening. So let's start off with your evening forecast hour by hour. 62 around 7 o'clock. Feeling good for those high school football games, but it will start to get a little chilly. 50s as we get toward the later night hours, and then 40s start showing up into the wee hours of the morning and into the sunrise time frame. As take a look in the mountains, we'll have mostly sunny skies through the early evening, and then temperatures fall fast. Notice 40s by 9 9 o'clock. So for those high school football games, you will really want a little extra layering up. Temperatures dropping into the upper 30s toward late night. Here are your wake up temperatures for the upstate mountains Saturday morning. This is the coldest air we've felt in a while. 43 for the upstate, 35. Frost will be likely in western North Carolina. So really the big story this weekend will be those chilly mornings, both tonight and tomorrow night, looking at well below normal temperatures. And then as we go into the afternoons, absolutely gorgeous. My favorite is Sunday afternoon as we start to warm up just a little bit, but it'll still be a bit cooler than normal for this time of year. Next week, warmer temperatures will be back, but nothing too unheard of for October. We'll talk about it all coming up in the 7-day forecast, but first let's head over to Chris Scott in traffic.
Well, if you're heading home from work or heading to work or heading out somewhere this afternoon, here are the issues that you need to be watching for on the roads today. We're watching them closely for you. They may cause you a little bit of delay. If you live in the Seneca area around Bountyland, Blue Ridge Boulevard, around Memorial Drive, there's an accident there with injuries, so EMS and emergency crews on scene. In Greenville County, 290 at Tigerville Road, injuries reported with this one as well, so watch out for emergency crews. And in Spartanburg County, 585 at US 176 and a new one at US 221 at I-85. Injuries are reported here as well, so please be careful. Looking at exit 68 in Spartanburg County, that's where 85 business and 85 come together. No huge delays. 385 in good shape, 26 in good shape, and I-85 and the interstates right now looking really good with no delays. Cody?
All right, Chris, thanks so much. A developing story here at 5. It's a week-long effort to crack down on crime on I-85 and I-26. It did wrap up today, Operation Rolling Thunder, and we have been on with deputies through this in many years past, and it really does help put the brakes on drugs coming into the Carolinas. Spartanburg County Sheriff Chuck Wright, very outspoken on this drug operation this morning. He released the results. Fox Carolina's Kerry Weimer along I-85, and Kerry, every year people reach out to us as this operation kicks off because it does catch you off guard if you're just driving home from work or to work.
It really does, because this week out of the year, it's not just, a few county cars here and there. You'll see agencies from all over, and it makes you wonder what in the world is going on. Well, we're about to tell you exactly what that's about. Today, Sheriff Chuck Wright said any day that you get drugs and criminal activity off of the roads, that's a good day. Operation Rolling Thunder has been going on for 14 years, and he says this week's bust is one for the books. If you drove on Interstate 85 anywhere between Atlanta and Charlotte, chances are you saw some of these cars. And even if you didn't, they saw you.
We had a very successful week of Rolling Thunder.
Over 45 officers from 15 different law enforcement agencies assisted in the week-long operation, according to Spartanburg Sheriff Chuck Wright, who started the annual crackdown 14 years ago.
It is a good way to keep people from other states driving through and dropping off drugs and whatever that they're bringing in, stolen weapons and all kinds of nonsense that we just simply don't need in our neighborhood.
This morning, the sheriff's office displayed the drugs, money, and other items seized from this week's bust.
When they drop those things off here, they're not just selling it. They are selling it, but they're also selling it to people who live and work with us and who know us and that we love.
The sheriff's office says they had over 1,200 traffic violations, 74 drug violations, and 28 arrests. Wright says some of the drugs collected this year included marijuana, heroin, LSD, ecstasy, waxes, methamphetamines, and other things like gummies and edibles.
I think this is the better one we've had in probably about 7 years. I mean, I haven't compared the numbers, but I do. I think this is really successful.
Almost $320,000 were seized from the week-long operation. The sheriff's office saying that money will now go through the civil forfeiture process.
We've been doing this for 14 years, and we still keep getting these numbers. So we have more work to do.
More information on this week's bust, just visit us online at foxcarolina.com or inside our free Fox Carolina News app. Cody?
All right, Kerry, thanks so much. And talking to Decide 2020 now, the Greenville GOP hosted a Back the Blue and in-person absentee voting rally today. The sheriff there talked about his concerns for those who want to defund the police. And the Attorney General, Alan Wilson, was also in Greenville to show his support for local law enforcement and to talk about why people should sign up to be poll watchers.
We got to have people willing to go and stand there as guardians, and I say guardians of liberty, not guardians of the ballot box, but guardians of liberty, to protect that right and to ensure that we inspect what we expect of our polling locations. And so I want to make sure that the polls are open and free and fair and accessible, and that there is no fraud and that there is no intimidation.
And we do want to mention Sheriff Lewis is running for re-election in 17 days against Democrat Paul Guy. Well, the final debate less than a week away, but already millions of Americans have cast their votes. Fox's Lauren Blanchard has more as the candidates set their sights on battleground states.
But mishandling the pandemic isn't enough for Trump. On top of that, he's still trying to take away your health care.
After dueling town halls Thursday night, both candidates hit the trail Friday in battleground states.
We're going to be talking to our great senior citizens. That's what I'm here for today.
President Trump campaigning in Florida and going after the Democratic nominee.
I'll tell you what, it's an organized crime family as far as I'm concerned.
While former Vice President Joe Biden focused on health care in Michigan.
But President Trump revels in division and chaos. He'll do anything to distract us from focusing on his failures to deal with this virus and to protect the nation.
The latest NPR Marist poll shows Biden with a 12 percentage point lead over President Trump among national voters. According to the U.S. Elections Project, 2.5 weeks ahead of Election Day, already some 22 million Americans across the country have voted in person or by mail, the most voting in California, Texas, and Florida.
You know, almost 90% of voters think that this election is going to have very serious consequences on the country. And so we're finding that there's a large number of people who are very interested in this campaign.
Over the weekend, President Trump will be campaigning in Michigan, as will Magic Johnson, but he'll be there for the Biden ticket. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
And former Vice President Joe Biden and President Trump still scheduled to debate in person on Thursday in Nashville. We just got the topics of the debate. You can find those at foxcarolina.com. Early voting kicked off this week in North Carolina. This is a look in Hendersonville earlier on the week when people are lining up there. The Board of Elections says nearly 900,000 ballots have been cast across the state. That's 12% of North Carolina voters who've already voted. You have until the 31st to vote early. You can find polling locations inside our free Fox Carolina News app. In South Carolina, absentee voting breaking records. The State Election Commission reporting over 650,000 absentee ballots have been issued so far, and we have broken it down right there on your screen, and you can see all of those numbers, and it's just crazy to think we're still 17 days out and this many people have already voted in our state. And take a look at this. A drug bust in Lawrence County, uncovering thousands of dollars in drugs. More on the raid and the wanted suspect. There she is, coming up. And COVID cases climbing in South Carolina and in North Carolina. How the nation's top health expert says we can keep this surge away. We'll explain. And a live look at some bleachers as the game of the week getting ready to take place. We're at Greenville High School, where they will take on the Edgewood Eagles. Some teams, though, not taking the field due to COVID-19. We'll have more on that coming up. Well, welcome back. The latest numbers from DHEC confirming close to 900 new cases of COVID-19 today, bringing the state's total to 155,799. 5 new deaths were reported today, bringing the death total to 3,405. The percent positive rate still very high at 11.5%. Well, one of the nation's top health experts urging South Carolinians to stay vigilant. This comes as the state's daily case count tops 1,000 for the first time in more than a month. That happened yesterday. Fox Carolina's Grace Runkle is in Greenville with what this means.
The director of the Centers for Disease Control says South Carolina is not out of the woods yet in terms of getting those coronavirus numbers down. In fact, he says that wearing a mask is now more important than ever. The CDC director spoke with Governor McMaster yesterday in Columbia. Around the same time, DHEC reported more than 1,000 new cases in the state. Greenville County saw the largest increase with more than 140 new cases. There have been 5 days so far this month where the new cases were at 100 or more for Greenville County, but cases have dropped to as few as 48 per day. The CDC director says if everyone wore a mask, then we could keep those numbers down.
We would bring it back under control within 6 to 12 weeks. The problem is with this virus, it's not going to work as half of us do this.
The CDC director says people should still social distance, especially when they're inside, and to get their flu shot. And as a reminder, earlier this week, the Greenville City Council actually extended their mask mandate that they have in place. Now for the next 61 days, you still need to make sure that you're wearing a mask, whether you're an employee or a customer, whenever you go inside a business. Reporting in Greenville, Grace Runkle, Fox Carolina News.
Well, Prisma Health is offering testing and flu shots on Sunday. Normally, Prisma does not offer testing or flu shots on Sunday, but now you can get both COVID tested and flu shots on Sunday from 1 to 4 at Greenville Memorial Hospital. Again, that's on Sunday. North Carolina's governor considering tightening restrictions, saying COVID-19 numbers are heading in the wrong direction. This as the state has broken records for the last 2 days. And today they've seen their highest total yet with more than 2,600 cases. State leaders are urging folks to keep up with contact tracing because many people are not returning their phone calls. And here's a look at the numbers. 2,684 new cases today. Again, that is the highest single day case count since the pandemic started. 1,148 people are currently hospitalized right now. And look at their percent positive rate. That's kind of the crazy thing. They're down at 6.3 and South Carolina is up at 11.1. So just folks, be safe out there and mask up.
Now, time for Fox Carolina weather. Weather Rate certified most accurate local forecast.
And it is some beautiful weather to head into our weekend. We've had a few clouds move through this afternoon, all associated with some cooler air moving in. So we're going to notice almost a cloudless sky here pretty soon, and the chill takes over. But this is a live look in Greenville at I-85. Luckily, things flowing pretty well. We'll check with Chris to see if there are any issues looking toward the 385 interchange currently. And we have a few clouds that have been moving through, but notice it's really subtle. You can kind of see the gray shadings there moving through the upstate. We're going to be clearing out and then temperatures falling like a rock. We've seen them already cool down into the 50s for the mountains. We're looking at 68 in Spartanburg, nice and mild elsewhere in the upstate with low 70s. So it's going to feel good at those high school football games tonight. It will cool down pretty quickly. We'll be down into the mid-50s around halftime, and heading home, you may feel that chill a little bit more, but just some really good football weather to the point where you won't be just shivering in the stands, but it will be refreshingly cool. Now, you might be shivering tomorrow morning as we get down into the low 40s, 42 for Gaffney Greer. You're going to be sitting at 43 degrees. No matter what your plans are early, just make sure you've got some layers. Of course, the sun will be out. It'll warm up nicely, so you won't want the heavy coat for long. 43 over in Seneca, and up in western North Carolina, that's where we're going to find some frost, even a freeze possible in the higher terrain. Some mid-30s expected there. And temperatures will rebound nicely through the day on Saturday. We'll get into the 60s. This is still, though, about 10 degrees cooler than normal for this time of year, but the sun will be abundant, beautiful blue skies out there. We're going to give it a 9 out of 10. I almost went with a 10, but since it is much cooler than normal, it might just be a little little jolting to you, but I may be regretting this ranking as I'm walking around tomorrow. It's probably going to feel pretty nice. And taking a look at your football forecast, Auburn coming to town to take on South Carolina. Temperature of right around 60 degrees at noontime. And of course, Clemson playing around that time too at Georgia Tech, and the weather's going to be nice all across Georgia as well. Temperatures in the low 40s for Sunday morning, so another cold start as we look ahead to your second morning of the weekend. Mid-30s expected in western North Carolina. So the chill will at least stick with us a couple of days. Starts to warm up into next week. Some really pretty ones though. No major rain in sight or anything like that, but our overnights will start to warm up. It's not going to be quite as crisp and cool as we get toward Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Now, of course, you can always head to foxcarolina.com throughout your weekend to get an update on the forecast and look at your hour-by-hour outlook. Now let's head over to Chris Scott to see how things are flowing on those roadways.
All right, Kendra, thank you. We have a couple of new accidents to let you know about. We're going to start in Pickens County. Black Snake Road and Ireland Road is a place just outside of Pickens. There is an accident reported in that spot. Also looking around the Greenville County area, still watching Highway 290 and Tigerville Road. That accident is still with injuries, and they're still working on what's happening there. US 221 at 85 Spartanburg, Asheville Highway, Old Furnace Road, Sarah Blackman Drive around the James Allgood Drive area as well. This is Powdersville. This is Highway 153, exit 40, 153 at 85, going in and out of Anderson County to Greenville County. Not seeing anything in the way for you. So in pretty good shape overall, although those accidents are popping up here as we're in rush hour. We'll give you another update in a few minutes. Join our Waze traffic team by getting to the Waze app. Go to Waze Groups. Fox Carolina Traffic's right there. Just click and join. Cody?
All right, Chris, thanks so much. Continuing to cover our counties here at 5. Police in Simpsonville investigating a homicide after a man was gunned down there overnight. The coroner identified the victim as 21-year-old Martin Effendi. We're told he was shot at his home there on Grandview Cove just before 1 a.m. Now, police have not identified a suspect at this point, but they're asking anyone who might have information on this deadly shooting to call them or 1-888-CRIME-SC. We've now learned the name of a man who died after a motorcycle crash in Spartanburg County. Now, the coroner tells us Dustin Ward died at the hospital on Thursday. The wreck actually happened on Highway 11 on Tuesday. We're told that he tried to pass a vehicle and they hit that vehicle. Troopers say that Ward was not wearing a helmet. Well, in Lawrence County, the sheriff's office says they seized more than 200 grams of methamphetamine after a search warrant. The sheriff's office released these pictures of what they found at a home on Cow Trail in Gray Court. Along with that methamphetamine, they got some marijuana, some crack cocaine, even some ecstasy, and about $6,000 cash. They seized those firearms there as well. And we're told even a few of them were stolen. Now, they did arrest Lawrence Woodruff, Quinzavius Rogers, and Ronnie Woodruff. You see all of those on the left, but one got away. So if you happen to know where Miss Rebecca Wilkie is, give the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office a call. You might even get a reward for turning her in. She's facing a slew of charges with her co-defendants there. Over in Oconee County, the sheriff asking for your help in finding this vehicle. It was stolen yesterday near Westminster. Of course, this is not the actual picture, but it's a Dodge Charger similar to this one. It was taken off Cobb Bridge Road on Wednesday afternoon. The license plate on this probably already taken off, but it was EVH 496. If your neighbor got a brand new car recently, it looks like that, call Oconee County. And you can always stay connected with Fox Carolina News through our free app. You can find us in the App Store or on Google Play. We're going to take you to a pumpkin patch where they are helping nonprofits this year. We'll tell you where you can go and what other things are in store for the kiddos. And with live look right now at our game of the week, Greenville High School. They'll be taking on the Greenwood Eagles tonight. And don't forget, Friday Night Blitz kicks off at 10:30 tonight.
Hi, I'm Ted Fate, and we're going to be following all the breaking news from over the weekend and helping to get your work week started with the latest headlines and also talking more of those school schedules that you need to know. We'll cover that. Nicole?
Looking at next week, Ted, lots of sunshine should stick around, but there's a bit of a warm-up back in store. We'll talk all about your forecast Monday on the Morning News.
Well, welcome back. Halloween just around the corner and a pumpkin patch spreading the love to others. The Golden Strip Pumpkin Patch opening tomorrow, and it's going to be helping people in the community. They help fund nonprofits through the patch every year. It's double the support this year because they're opening another location. So if you want to help out, you can go to one of their locations, either at Rainbow Paints and Malden United Methodist Church on Butler Road. It opens tomorrow. We'll tell you about the other one in just a second.
Community is the integral part of all of what we're trying to do. So to have Little White House, to have Anita's, to have the Coffee House group all come together as one and really try to bring together the small town. Why wouldn't you buy your pumpkin from here instead of somewhere else?
Next Friday, the Pumpkin Patch is hosting a special night with the truck and treating with, I think it's truck and treating for youngsters. And you can also go to their other original location. I think we have that at foxcarolina.com. Well, folks are pushing to solve a problem in Greenville. We'll have some more ideas on affordable housing coming up. Plus, country music stars coming together to help raise money for those hit hardest in the industry.
And after a soaker last weekend, this one totally dry. It's just going to be a lot cooler outside. We'll talk about those chilly nights and when we could get that frost and freeze.
Closed captioning sponsored by Bojangles. It's Bo time. You're watching the 5 o'clock news on Fox Carolina.
Taking a live look over Lake Hartwell this afternoon. The sun is out beaming down on the lake, shaping up to be a really nice Friday evening if you want to head out, maybe enjoy a nice dinner outside somewhere. But I'll tell you, you might want to grab a light jacket because it's going to cool down pretty fast, Kendra, once the sun goes down.
Yeah, it certainly will, but nice and mild between now and around 8 o'clock this evening. So enjoy it, and then the chill settles in. It'll be in the 30s across much of western North Carolina. That's why we have a frost advisory out for Hendersonville, Forest City, Rutherfordton, Asheville, and then other spots like Bryson City under that freeze warning, areas above 3,500 feet. Temps will be at 32 or below for a few hours later on tonight. Right now we're sitting at 60 in Asheville, but 70 around Greenville. Feeling pretty good. Hey, you never know a big cool down is coming. You can kind of feel it with that breeze outside. 72 for Abbeville and Greenwood. As we step through the next few hours, notice that temperatures will be into the 50s after 9 o'clock. And then we'll be looking at upper 40s as we get closer to sunrise. So certainly a chill in the air. I'll show you with those sunrise temps in just a second. In the mountains, mostly clear. Could have a cloud or two from time to time between now and about 9 o'clock, but it will be clear as can be, and the winds will settle later on tonight, and that will help temperatures to drop into the 30s. So I expect us to be in the low to mid 40s across upstate spots early Saturday morning. In the mountains, 35 degrees. Of course, if you're a late sleeper on Saturday, you'll miss this completely, but it'll still be very chilly even toward the late morning time frame. So as we look ahead, of course, these chilly nights will be our top story. Even Saturday night and Sunday will bring a threat for some more frost and freeze conditions across the area. A beautiful weekend, though, overall. Lots of sunshine. Each afternoon is going to be one that you'll want to take advantage of in some form or other. And then as we head to next week, it starts to warm back up. I'll show you when 70s are back and when those overnights are not quite so chilly, coming up in just a few minutes. But first, let's head on over to Chris Scott, who's tracking all the incidents on the roadways.
Yeah, Kendra, we are seeing a pretty good backup of congestion on 85 from exit 56 and 7 down toward exit 51. We have no report of any accident there. We do have a couple in Greenville County at Woodruff Road and Feaster Road and Beach Springs Road around the Cooley Bridge Road area. Spartanburg County is a hot spot now too. Sarah Blackman Drive, also at Asheville Highway 176 at Old Furnace Road, US 221 at I-85, and Cannons Campground Road at Oglesby Lane are the accidents there in Spartanburg County. Here's a look at exit 56 and 7. You can see that backup almost to Brockman McClyman Road, exit 58. There was a report of an accident on 85 north at exit 58. We are not seeing any delay from that at all, but we certainly are seeing it on the southbound lane. That's just heavy, got to get home traffic on a Friday afternoon. Cody.
All right, Chris, we'll get an update from you in a couple of minutes. But right now, you might have noticed a pink police car in Easley today. It was parked outside the Bella Levi Salon and Spa. Firefighters were there selling pink T-shirts. The salon says cancer survivors even signed the car. Folks could also donate money and get a pink strip in their hair.
We just wanted to raise awareness for breast cancer. It's a disease that affects many people, not only in our community here at home, but statewide. So we wanted to support that. So that's what we're out here doing today.
The money raised will go to the Cancer Center of Pickens County. And by the way, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Well, the Greenville Housing Authority says it is working to fill a growing need for affordable housing. Fox Carolina's Justin Dorsey has more.
Yeah, the authority says that more and more people are spending less time buying things that they want because they're so focused on making sure that they can pay their rent or their mortgage at the end of the month. And to solve that issue, organization leaders said that they want 13,000 new affordable housing units placed over the next decade. The authority adds that they did a study that shows people aged 35 to 65 were the most cost burden, is what they're calling it, on housing, meaning that they spent more than 30% of their total income on where they live. Now, we got the chance to speak with CEO Brian Brown about the idea, and here's a little bit of what he had to say.
We've seen rents double in some cases at existing apartment homes. So this is a real issue that we have to confront.
Now, in order to get this done, to get these homes built, 13,000 homes over the next 10 years, that's the plan. The authority's putting together a housing coalition. Now, that's going to be made up of local lawmakers, leaders in the community, and of course, private developers, so that they can make sure that this plan comes to fruition. For now, that's the story from here in Greenville. Justin Dorsey, Fox Carolina.
Well, the clock is ticking for a potential coronavirus stimulus package before the November election. It's been a back and forth battle between Republicans, the president, and Democrats. Fox's Caroline Shively has this report from Washington.
When the Senate returns to Washington on Monday, Republican leader Mitch McConnell says the first order of business will be voting on a new coronavirus relief bill. It won't be one of the large bills we've seen in the past. This one would be targeted. About $500 billion with relief for small businesses. Its chances of passing, not good.
18 days
So even if you made a deal, it would be almost impossible to execute. Maybe some of it could be executed, but you certainly couldn't get a grand, large deal.
House Democrats passed a $3.4 trillion package in May. Senate Republicans proposed a package that cost a third of that in July, but it never came up for a vote because many Republicans were hesitant to spend that much.
A COVID-19 package has to be robust, strong, and effective. And so far, we've seen nothing on the Republican side that comes anywhere near what is necessary.
In a letter to colleagues on Thursday, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wrote, "Clearly, neither Mitch McConnell nor President Trump took this pandemic seriously." But in a town hall with NBC News, President Trump says Pelosi and other Democrats are to blame.
The problem is she doesn't want to do it because she thinks it's bad for her election. The fact is she's wrong because people know she's in our way.
This week, the president tweeted, "Stimulus, go big or go home." At this point, it looks like Congress will go home with no deal, at least not before the election. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Trending today, some tense moments in Manhattan last night as a climber tried to scale the New York Times building. NYPD closed down the street. First responders were forced to break a window from inside the building to get to this daredevil. He was captured on the 6th floor because apparently he got a little tired. As you can imagine, quite the scene for folks on their way home.
From what I had heard, he snuck in through either a side entrance or something, and then just started going up the flights.
The guy is being charged with reckless endangerment and criminal trespass. Well, Nickelodeon's popular Paw Patrol cartoon series is making the jump to the big screen with an all-star cast. Kim Kardashian, Jimmy Kimmel, and Tyler Perry will lend their voices to some of the cartoon rescue dogs. Paw Patrol, the movie, will hit theaters August 2021. Well, country music fans will get a chance to win a little bit of country music history for a price. We're talking Taylor Swift, Bradley Cooper, and Keith Urban, all donating their guitars to a country music auction. It's to help those workers who are out of work in Nashville because there are no tours happening thanks to COVID-19. Some of the things going on the block: Swift's Gibson acoustic guitar that she performed with on her debut of her new song Betty. It's expected to go between $25,000 and $40,000.
Well, the Academy of Country Music has a philanthropic division called Lifting Lives, and when the pandemic hit in the spring, Nashville was hit really hard. So they started a COVID-19 response fund. They've given away over $1.5 million so far, and the concept came about of what can the Nashville community do to help their own. So this is one of those instances where you actually have the artist helping the people who work for them: tour bus drivers, roadies, session workers, caterers. No one's working.
The gown worn by Carrie Underwood to the Academy of Country Music Awards also up for grabs, and Tim McGraw's F131 Hellcat motorcycle. The auction runs through October 29th. Well, tonight, former Fox News host Gretchen Carlson joins the team on People.
Tonight, here's what people are talking about.
I want to continue to inspire other people to speak up and stand up and have a voice.
Gretchen Carlson joins our People team as a special contributor.
I always have a fire in my belly. Listen, that's what's kept me going my whole life. I was a gutsy kid, and I always stood up for myself, and I think that carried me through into my adulthood. And it's my biggest lesson to all women out there, is to find that fire in your belly and to have a voice. We've seen women, one woman can make a huge difference. But one of my favorite quotes is, one woman can make a difference, but together we rock the world.
Yes.
And that's what I hope to do with the Stories for People, is share one woman's story, but inspire the world out there.
More from my interview with Gretchen Carlson. It's tonight on People.
And you can catch it at 7:30 p.m. Don't forget, People is produced by the Meredith Corporation, which owns Fox Carolina. A new iPhone hitting stores soon. Stay tuned. Plus, if your Zoom meetings are popular, how you can start selling tickets to your meeting. And we're live at our game of the week, Greenville High School, where they will take on the Greenwood Eagles. Friday Night Blitz kicks off at 10:30 tonight. And you can stream Fox Carolina News anytime you want on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. And your midday winning lottery numbers: your pick 3, 293, and your pick 4, 7344.
You're watching Fox Carolina News, the local station.
Me? Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Now, time for Fox Carolina weather. Weather Rate certified most accurate local forecast.
Well, with the big cool down this weekend, it may have you wanting to go catch some fall color, and a great place to do that would be the high mountains in western North Carolina. We're starting to see the peak, at least in spots, in areas above 3,500 feet. And then as you head over toward Asheville, Hendersonville, it'll be a little closer to late October, but then November, early November, in fact, for areas in the upstate that are not considered the higher elevations. But northern upstate spots, we'll start to see some really pretty color by around Halloween. So if you get up into the mountains, it is really gorgeous right now in spots, and it's going to be gorgeous weather too. We're going to have completely blue skies. We had a few clouds roll through earlier. All the light shower activity is done. Had a couple sprinkles in the mountains earlier this morning. Temperatures currently running at 70 degrees in Greenville, 63 for Gaffney, right at 60 in the Asheville area. And tonight, maybe you're going to want to get that fire pit started. It's not going to be terribly chilly through the early evening, but notice by 9 o'clock, looking at low 50s, and the wind shouldn't be too bad. It's going to settle a bit as we go into the evening. So it'd be a nice night to sit around the fire, maybe roast some marshmallows. Tomorrow morning, oh, we're going to feel that chill. 42 degrees for you in the Gaffney, Cowpens area, 44 for Malden and Gray Court, 43 in Union. And we'll be getting down to around 44 in Abbeville, Seneca, 43 degrees, and in western North Carolina, mid-30s, but some spots in the higher terrain could get down to freezing for a couple hours. So freeze warnings are out for many counties up there. And of course, we're going to see at least a nice rebound in temperatures through the day. Low 60s expected in the upstate toward the second half of your day. So just gorgeous conditions. You'll want to dress in layers because it will start to feel a little warm if you're all layered up through the day. A 9 on the Carolina Sky Meter, considering that it is a little cooler than normal for this time of year. But other than that, there is not going to be any weather worry to deal with throughout the day. Now let's take a look at your football forecast. Auburn taking on South Carolina at home noon. Temperature of 60 degrees, and the weather's going to be beautiful all across the southeast for all the big games. I know Clemson heading down to Georgia Tech. Looks like great weather for that, too, as they travel down to Atlanta. 42 as we start our Sunday in Greenville area. So tomorrow night even looks pretty chilly. Mid-30s expected across the mountains. And right now, the tropics fairly quiet. We are watching an area in the central Atlantic, but nothing that's threatening the U.S. and everything else looking non-tropical at this point. So we're hoping that'll stay the case for the rest of hurricane season. But long-range models do indicate that there's a chance we could end up with a few more systems before it's all said and done. Mostly sunny through this weekend, temperatures below normal, and then we get back to more typical October weather into next week with highs in the 70s, overnight lows getting back into the 50s by Tuesday morning.